Hey guys, so it's time finally for a weekly wrap up. I have not done one of these in several weeks. It first started out as the first week that I didn't do it, I was watching a bunch of movies instead, so I didn't really read too much. I was using my free time and my time at work where I usually listen to audiobooks to watch movies instead. So I watched I actually had a vlog come out about this from that time period where I had watched like 15 movies in a single week. So that was where a lot of my time went then. And then I kind of only read a few things here or there up until like last week, where actually I had a lot to talk about last week, but something kind of happened at the beginning of last week and you'll see this in the vlog. I'm not going to go too much into it right here, but a vlog will eventually come out for last week where something kind of happened that kind of really discouraged me from making videos this past week. I had a bunch of videos that I wanted to put out, a bunch of reviews that I had to put out, things that I've been planning on making and releasing, but I kind of got super just down on posting some stuff. But now I'm feeling more motivated now, and I'm getting more reading done and have several reviews. I filmed a couple yesterday, and I'll have a few more that I've not filmed but will be filmed later this week and put out as soon as I can. So I have lots of reviews coming out and some other videos as well that aren't reviews that will hopefully be out soon. So anyway, I've read 9 books since the last one of these that I've done. So I'll take this and add 9 to it. So I'm currently at 42 total books for the year so far, which is pretty good. I don't know how far ahead or behind. That's probably behind I am right now. It's been a pretty light last few weeks of reading, but I'm hoping to correct that and change that in the next coming weeks. We'll see how it goes. So, and then real quick before I get into the books, of course, as always, want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers. They're very kind to pledge at the producer level and get the benefits that come along with that. And of course, I appreciate them so much, and I appreciate all of you guys watching right now. Thank you for your constant viewership. And I know I've been a little bit MIA the past couple weeks, but like I said, I'm getting more and more motivated to get these videos that I've had planned and also filmed already out as soon as I can. So what did I read these past few weeks? The first thing I already did a review of, and most of these I won't get into too much because I'm going to actually all of them will have full reviews out soon if they don't already, and this one does already have a full review out. It's Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is kind of like a road trip fantasy where this band of mercenaries, they used to be one of the most famous bands of their generation, and then they grew older. They kind of all grew apart from one another. They all pursued different things in their lives, and our main character, Clay, he has a wife and a daughter, and he's pretty content with his life, and he kind of doesn't really have any desire to go back to his old days with the band. But one day, one of his bandmates, right at the beginning, Gabriel, he comes along and asks Clay for help because his daughter is in a whole lot of danger, and he kind of needs the band to get back together to go through what is called the Heartwild, which is basically this dangerous forest filled with all manner of very deadly creatures and deadly peoples, and rescue Gabe's daughter. So they kind of work to go find the rest of the band, and it's just a lot of fun. It's got a lot of great humor in it. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's one big entertaining ride from beginning to end, and I do highly suggest it if you're looking for a fantasy story like that, like Sebastian de Castel's Greatcoat series, a little bit of more of a lighthearted kind of Scott Lynch kind of thing, where it mixes the fantasy and the fun with a good bit of humor, a band of characters that's really fun to get to know and follow, and I'm really looking forward to reading more from this series. I hope the next book comes out as soon as possible, and yeah, I definitely recommend this, and I recommend you go watch my review whenever you get the chance. And then I also finished these 2 books. I read them back to back, Two Like the Lightning and 7 Surrenders, both by Ada Palmer. These are first and second book in a series, and I really, really, really liked them a lot. They're fantastic. Easily 2 of my favorite reads of the year so far. Just extremely well thought out, intelligent, thought-provoking science fiction that is at times very humorous, a lot of fun. There's a lot of dense, really interesting stuff happening in this, having to do with the world, the political systems. There's just a whole lot of really cool ideas happening all at once in this. This is Ada Palmer's kind of Enlightenment era inspired foray into the 25th century. And these are both very, very good. They're both kind of narrated by a character called Mycroft, and they're kind of written from his perspective. They're written as histories. These two books go together as a set. This one really sets up a lot of stuff, and this one kind of gives you the payoff that this one sets up. Like I said, they both go together. They read as a kind of history, all combined, written by this guy named Mycroft, who is a sort of criminal, but in this world, criminals who can be kind of rehabilitated are offered the chance to act as servicers to everyone. So they have to offer themselves as basically jack of all trades, kind of people who can go around and do a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And Mycroft, he can speak a lot of different languages. He can do a lot for a lot of people. He knows a lot of stuff, and he really gets a sense of a lot of the different things that are happening in this world, a lot of the big players in this world, and a lot of things that are happening all at once. And so we see from his perspective all these different situations and events come together to form this plot that I don't really want to go into it too much right now. I'm going to, like I said, post full reviews of both of these very soon. I want to go into kind of detail about them, a little bit more about my thoughts on them, a little bit more about my thoughts on each different aspect. But I really enjoyed everything about these, very much so, and I highly recommend them. And definitely look out for my reviews on them because they're a whole lot of fun to read. And then I read, and will be reviewing as well, The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. This one I didn't quite like as much. I think Cameron Hurley's ideas are pretty fantastic. I felt pretty much the same way about this that I did about The Mirror Empire, which is the only other thing that I've read by her. I really like a lot of her blog posts. I've read a lot of those, and those are really great. But her fiction, her fantasy and science fiction, both of these that I've read, they have good ideas and they have a good setup, but don't really follow through very well. I didn't really find the characters to be compelling at all. I didn't really care about any of them very much. I didn't feel like I got to know any of them very much. There's two main characters who we read from the first person perspective of, kind of switching off back and forth, and there's really no discerning qualities about them that kind of distinguish either of them from the other, and it kind of bothered me. And there's like this mystery surrounding just one of the main characters' memory loss. And it's just the memory seems to come back only when it's convenient to the plot. And there's like this mystery as to who she is and like what's happening with her. And there's just one specific thing that happens towards the end where I had realized that was going to happen way sooner. Like I knew and could guess a lot of things about this plot and about all the different mysteries that were happening, all the different things that we didn't know about. I could guess all that stuff way in advance to when they actually got revealed, and the whole time it was just kind of aggravating to have these characters seem so oblivious. And then the memory loss thing, I have such a huge pet peeve towards memory loss. It can be well done, but it very often isn't well done. And in this, I don't think it's very well done at all, and it kind of drives the plot, and it kind of just aggravated me a lot, and I just didn't really enjoy it very much. And I found her writing to be very simplistic and kind of cringy sometimes. I don't know. I didn't really like it very much, but I'm going to do a full review, and maybe I'll give you some idea of why someone else might like it better. That's usually what I try to do with my reviews. If I don't like something, I'll tell you why, but I'll also give you a reason as to why I think someone else might like it. For example, the ideas are really cool, and things might work for you better than they did for me, but I'll talk about it more in a review. And the last physical thing that I have not finished yet, but I've gotten through most of it, and I'm going to do a full review of this one as well, is New York 2140 by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is pretty freaking fantastic so far. I really like Kim Stanley Robinson's writing a lot. There's just a lot of social and economic and geographical kind of sciences happening here in this science fiction story. It takes place in a kind of flooded New York. It's kind of become much larger Venice kind of situation. And we follow a lot of characters in this one building and their lives, and like this kind of plot unfolding around a lot of them. And yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it right now. There's a lot to cover with it, and I'm going to do a full review, but just suffice it to say, I really am enjoying this a lot, and Kim Stanley Robinson is one of my favorite science fiction writers at the moment. So, I read Aurora last year, and that was one of my top 5 of last year, one of my top 5 reads of last year. So I can imagine finishing this either tonight or tomorrow, and I'm really excited to do so and then talk about it more with you. And then some audiobooks that I finished. I finished a book called Forging Divinity by Andrew Rao, the first book in a series called The War of Broken Mirrors. This is a book, another one of those books that I've talked about before, where it was self-published originally and then picked up by Podium Publishing, and it was narrated by Nick Podell, so I decided to give it a shot because I love him as a narrator, and I've been really liking Podium Publishing's stuff, the stuff that they pick up, and this one was pretty good. It was okay. I was thinking about doing a full review of it. I don't think I necessarily need to. It's just kind of a nice, sort of simple epic fantasy story surrounding just mostly these three characters. There's one character, he shows up in this town one day with a sword that is kind of seen to be a religious artifact. And him having the sword kind of marks him as either someone that shouldn't have the sword, that is kind of defacing this artifact by having it. That's something that he should be relieved of, or there's some reason for him to have had it. He's kind of alone in this world in this moment. His parents gave him this sword for some reason that he doesn't quite know. He just knows that he's had it, and he will do anything to keep it and protect it. He's not going anywhere without it. And he comes across this girl who wants to help protect him because there's some people after the sword and thus after him. And yeah, his presence in this town has become noticed by a bunch of different groups and people, and it's kind of, you're not really sure who's on what side, you're not really sure who all the different sides are and what all of their different goals and aims are, but they all surround him and the sword that he has brought into this town that he doesn't really know even too much about. So it's interesting. It has some interesting world building. It does have some pretty good characters. I definitely think if you are looking for an epic fantasy with some good magic, this would be a good one to check out because the magic system surrounds this thing called dominions. It's kind of like these different planes of existence. I guess this is the only really way that I imagine it, is these planes of existence that they can kind of tap into, these dominions they can tap into and do different kinds of things with. So each person has a different kind of dominion that they can tap into. The main girl, or one of the main characters, her ability is like the dominion of knowledge. The main character with the sword has a dominion of metal. And there's a bunch of different stuff like that. And there's a lot of different dominions and different things. There's a lot of different possibilities. And I can foresee that going to a lot of cool places in future books. And I'm definitely going to continue on. I'll let you know what the second book is like as well. And I'll kind of remind you of this one. And maybe if I end up liking the second book a lot, I'm not sure if it's a trilogy. I think it might just be a trilogy. And maybe I'll see at the end of the trilogy what I feel about it. And I'll talk to you about it more. But I definitely think it's worth your time if you're looking for just a quick, fun, epic fantasy story with some pretty good characters and a cool magic system. Definitely check this out. If you've got some credits on Audible, definitely give it a shot. And then after this, I couldn't get away from the Dresden Files. I could not stop listening to them. I listened to 4 of them in a row this time around, which is a little bit crazy, but I just literally could not stop listening. And I finally forced myself to stop listening today to them because I only have 2 left now to listen to, and I need to save them for a different time. So I've started to get some more stuff from Overdrive, trying to plan out audiobook reading that is not Dresden Files. So I read Small Favor, Turncoat, Changes, and Ghost Story. So Ghost Story and Changes leading into Ghost Story is one of the biggest turning points in the Dresden Files series so far. There was just a lot happening, and there's something really huge happens in Changes. You can kind of tell from the title, something big is bound to happen in a book called Changes in a series like this. And then leading up to Ghost Story, it was just really cool. And Ghost Story itself was super different from all the other ones. And at first I wasn't sure how to feel about it, but then I really ended up liking it. I'm 13 books into the series now, and if I haven't convinced you to pick it up yet, then I'm not sure if I'm going to anytime soon. But I devour these like candy and cannot get enough of them. I've just fallen in love with all of the characters, especially Dresden, and I love James Marsters. I got this whole series from my brother-in-law, from Giselle's brother, and he had all the series. And Ghost Story was actually originally the audiobook narrator, the usual one, James Marsters, for the Dresden Files. It was not available for Ghost Story at first, and so it was narrated by a different guy. And that's the one that my brother-in-law had, and that's the one that I downloaded from him. And I love James Marsters so much, and he is Dresden and all the other characters so much for me that I just went and I used my own credit to get Ghost Story myself so that I could still listen to it with James Marsters. And I'm really glad that the publisher went back and republished it with James Marsters because he is amazing and he is Dresden. And I still very highly suggest the series. Once you get through the first few books, and if you really enjoy those first few books, I can imagine you just becoming completely hooked like I have become. and I only have 2 books left now, and I need to save them. And then after that, I did start an audiobook called Feed by Myra Grant, which I just realized and just found out is a pseudonym for Seanan McGuire, which is cool. I know who that is, and I have read one of her books before, Every Heart a Doorway, which I really, really liked. And Feed so far is pretty cool. I'm not too far into it yet, but it's a zombie book, and it's fun so far. In this zombie book, they have like technology. People have like blogs and make videos and stuff, and it's fun. I like it, and I'm gonna talk more about it next week when I'm done with it. And going on to more audiobooks that I might listen to this week. I actually have the entire series. Let me see. I don't even remember what they're called. I have the entire 4-book series that are, I guess, I don't know if there's going to be more, but there's Feed, Blackout, Deadline, and Feedback. So I'm not sure if even that's in the right order. I'll figure out the right order when the time comes. But I have all of them checked out from Overdrive, and I might listen to them all back to back. If I end up liking Feed as much as I am right now, if I continue to like it, then I'll just keep on going with it. That's probably what all of my listening will be for the rest of the week. And then as for physical books, I'm going to finish New York 2140 either today or tomorrow. And then I have a few shorter books, things that are on the shorter side to kind of get through to catch up on some of these review copies that I have. I have Amberlow by Lara Elena Donnelly. This is a kind of deco punk, finding like fantasy spies and cabaret, and it sounds fascinating. I don't want to know too much more about it going in. It sounds super weird, and I'm kind of excited to give it a shot. I've heard good things about it so far. And then I'm really excited for this, Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. This actually comes out tomorrow, and I've loved to have gotten to it before it came out, but I didn't get the chance to because I've been kind of slow on reading recently. But I'm going to read this week and do a review of it very shortly. Thomas from SFF 180 just did a full interview with John Scalzi, which is great. I highly suggest you check that out. You'll hear plenty more about this from other people, I'm sure, and you'll hear plenty more about it from me. It seems like it's going to be a fun, typical, awesome John Scalzi science fiction book, and I'm excited for it. And also, I have this hardcover, and I have this ARC paperback, and I believe I will do a giveaway for one of them. I'm not sure which one I'm going to give away yet. I might do the same thing I did with one of the other books I gave away, where I let the person who won choose whether they wanted the paperback or the hardback, so I don't have to choose. So they can choose for the both of us, which one of us will keep which. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I don't need 2 of them, so I'll give one of them to you guys. And I like both equally. And I kind of like the hardcover a little bit more, but I tend to like paperbacks better in general. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm really excited to read that. And then I'm also going to try to pick up Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I feel like this will be a pretty quick read, and I may or may not do a full review of this. We'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. The last one that I'm hoping to get to, and I probably won't finish it before next week, so you'll probably see it again. Hopefully we'll have started it by next week, by the next time I post one of these, and it is Star's End by Cassandra Rose Clark. This one comes out tomorrow as well, I believe, and this is a science fiction story surrounding this girl who kind of has to choose between following her father's footsteps and kind of taking over this space corporation kind of thing that he has, that she's kind of been groomed for her entire life, or kind of making and then following her own path. And I think it might lean more towards YA, or it might just be adult. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to read it, give it a shot, and see what I think, and then review it. So that's everything that I've read this past week, everything that I hope to read in the upcoming week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely let me know if you read any of this stuff, if you're looking forward to any of the new releases that have recently come out or that are about to come out. Let me know what you're most excited for. I would love to hear that. And of course, if you've got any opinions or thoughts on any of the stuff that I mentioned, I would love to hear those as well, so we can talk about them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later with more.